My name's Fred Pope. My family and myself, my wife and 4 children, live at 3213 Summit Crossing Parkway. We moved to Norman 15 years ago, almost because of a situation like this, so I'd like to say this isn't my first rodeo. And I look at some of the council members tonight who are smirking about this, and I'm a little bit ashamed because they really don't understand what they're even talking about. I was a young consultant working in D.C. I went to pick up my paycheck, and I had to sign a form that said sex, race, sexual orientation. And I said, no, I can't sign that. I'm a firm believer in morality. Didn't used to be, but I am now. And I couldn't pick up my paycheck until I agreed that sexual orientation was okay. I wouldn't sign the form. I couldn't sign the form. Went up to the CEO. The CEO explained to me, well, if you want to do business with the city of New York, you have to have that clause in there. Well, I said, well, I can't sign it. I'm sitting down with the CEO, and the CEO says, well, you don't have to. Well, I can't, but you're forcing people to sign it in order to pick up their paycheck. Well, it gets even better. As a result, I moved out to divestiture of telecommunications, moved out to Portland, Oregon, took a job with a telephone company. The same sort of issue took place out in Portland, Oregon. I lived in Vancouver, Washington. We had human rights. We have to adopt this. We have to pass it now. It can't wait any longer. They bust people in from all over the place. I was a citizen, and I went down. And what I said that night, I'm going to repeat. I don't hate anybody. But this is dangerous for the community. It's dangerous for the families, and it's dangerous for the children. News report today. I'm not making this up. Facebook site, registered for pedophiles, NAMBLA. You know, if you look at some of this lesbian, bisexual, where it's going, you go look up NAMBLA, and you'll find it just dives off the cliff. I went to city council meeting, and I spoke up. The only thing that made the paper was dangerous. The next day, they marched me in and said, Mr. Pope, we're going to have to let you go. You're a liability to the company. And all I did was stand up and say, as a moral individual, I can't accept this. What's even more frustrating to me is how this whole debate has been hijacked, the debate about civil rights and how we have families from all over the world. My wife has helped settle refugees and immigrants from all over the world. That whole dialogue has been hijacked by a group of folks. Where is sex a civil right? Where is sex even a right that a person can say that they have a right to? I got married when I was 28. Thank God I waited for the right woman to come along. We have 4 beautiful children. I wasn't out there experimenting with everybody I could find. The Supreme Court has said immutable characteristics, denied economic advantage, and lack of or no political clout are the characteristics for discrimination. The characteristics that deny inclusion, not all this other stuff we're dreaming up here tonight. So I would say that based on the Supreme Court findings, based on how I've seen my own life, just by standing up for being a moral individual and raising a great family, has been denied. I've been fired. This whole debate is false. I don't know if this is a kangaroo court where people have made up their mind and they're already going to vote. I'd like to, like the lady said before, I'd really like to see a vote on this to see where people stand. See if they have some guts. See if they can stand up and be accounted for. Because regardless, there's going to be ramifications. You've started to divide in the community. It's not going to end. And we moved here so we could raise a family in a great location. And what this does tonight is begin to undermine that and tear it down and pull it back. I have friends like everybody else because I don't hate people. I talk to people who have these issues. I try to be their friend. I try to reach out to them. When this debate was taking place in Portland, Oregon, I get invited to the convention center where there was I call it the quilt event or a quilt experience. My wife and I went down as a courtesy to this individual. And as we walked along through the convention center, this gentleman said, well, I knew him, and I knew him, and I knew him, and I knew him, quilt after quilt after quilt. This lifestyle is so destructive. It broke my heart to see young man after young man memorizing a quilt because they engaged into a lifestyle that they thought would set them free. When I came to be a Christian, I had a friend who went the other direction, and he went into a homosexual lifestyle.
If you would wrap up your comments, you've reached 5 minutes.
Okay, I'll wrap it up. The destruction that I've witnessed from this lifestyle, personally seen, is indescribable. And I would, if someone wants to support this, they need to take the next step and go and witness it themselves to see if there's any hope.